Even after marriage, a woman denies her husband the intimacy he desires, but she doesn't feel the same for strangers and friends. While preparing for her wedding day, Solange heads to the destination in her wedding dress, accompanied by children. Elsewhere, the groom, Carlinhos, is taken by his father, Alexandre, away from the guests to talk. They discuss how Solange reminds them of Carlinhos' late mother, so it'd be like they will continue the love story they began. As someone calls the groom, Alexandre advises him to never complain about his wife's nagging. He adds that despite his wife's passing, he's never been with another woman since he's comfortable being alone now. Soon, Carlinhos and Solange are wed and enjoy their wedding reception that evening. As the guests disperse, Carlinhos urges his new bride to change clothes so they can consummate their marriage. Impatient, he touches her and asks for a kiss while they're driven to their hotel. She asks him to wait a bit longer and states that she also has a request to make, but she'll talk about it later. Inside their suite, Carlinhos approaches the delicately dressed Solange and tries to initiate intimacy. She rejects him, so the man wonders if she still loves him. When she insists on her love, the man escalates his advances. Solange continues to reject his touch, finally expressing her request not to do it tonight. Carlinhos complains about waiting since he has waited from when they were young lovers and engaged for 2 years. She softly asks for patience, saying it'll be worthwhile before walking away. After a few moments, Solange returns to the bed to sleep only for Carlinhos to force himself on her. She protests, saying she doesn't want to feel forced, but it falls on deaf ears as Carlinhos claims her. That morning, Carlinhos asserts that she's now his, but the woman replies that she doesn't want to ruin their relationship with this kind of intimacy. 2 weeks later, Carlinhos complains to his father how his wife is terrified of making love. Alexandre agrees that wives should be frigid, much to Carlinhos' surprise. His assistant pops in to tell him that Donna Matilda is waiting outside, but Alexandre sends her away and asks not to be disturbed. He then tells Carlinhos that in his personal experience, making love has nothing to do with marriage, and his frigid wife became a better mother and partner because of her abstinence. Carlinhos refuses to believe this, but Alexandre insists that he's trying to save their marriage. Just then, Donna Matilda walks in despite the assistant's warnings, prompting Carlinhos to leave. Matilda then presents him with an apartment lease that he promised to sign. However, Alexandre claims that he was embarrassed during the moment that he made the promise. Matilda gets upset that he would deny his wife's dearest friend and threatens him that his wife confided dark secrets with her. Alexandre reasons that he still can't sign her lease due to a contractual barrier, so Matilda leaves, saying that she'll be vindictive. That evening, Carlinhos roams the streets while thinking of his father's words about their frigid wives. He soon arrives home and Solange welcomes him, even giving him a proper kiss. Excited, Carlinhos asks her to go to their room, but she instead guides him to the sofa. There, she confesses that she sometimes says things she doesn't mean, believing she was trying to be someone she's not during the night of the wedding, even at the times after that. She reasons that the relationship felt so formal, hence her aversion to making love. Carlinhos is relieved, thinking that his father's beliefs might be proven true. He expresses his love for her and she kisses him before leading him to bed. As their passion escalates, however, Solange loses heart and admits that she was only pretending to be amorous, hoping she could overcome her fear. Disappointed, he wonders if it'll always be like this, so she begs for forgiveness. After a month, a crying Solange visits Matilda. The older woman assures the young wife that her friendship with her mother extends to Solange as well, so she wonders if her tears are about Carlinhos. The wife explains that despite being married to Carlinhos for 2 months, she feels nothing about their relationship. Matilda assures her that this is normal, and if she feels incompatible with her husband in bed, she may find satisfaction with someone else. Unsure, Solange decides to leave. But before she does, Matilda asks her to give a letter to Alexandre. That afternoon, Solange visits Alexandre to give the letter. After escorting his daughter-in-law out the gate, he returns to his office to read the letter. There, Matilda recounts when his wife, Dolores, visited her one afternoon and hesitantly revealed that she believes she's pregnant. Matilda turned away in disgust since they agreed back then that they would never have children. Dolores worriedly told her that she may not love this child because it came from a man. because since she was a child, she had found boys repulsive. Alexandre throws the letter in shock, not knowing that his saintly wife had always been disgusted at him. After some time, Carlinhos received a call from his friend, inviting him out. Elsewhere, Solange drives around when children try to sell her limes. The woman glares at them in disdain and shoos them away. Soon, she arrives in a parking lot where she reclines her seat and removes her garments before fixing her makeup. She then left to go somewhere. In a coffee shop, Carlinhos and his friend Asuncao order coffee. The husband then reminds his friend that he only trusts him and Alexandre. Asuncao returns the trust and asks what troubles him. Carlinhos confides that in their entire relationship, Solange dreaded making love so much that they only consummated 20 days after the wedding. Hearing this, Asuncao suggests she undergo psychoanalysis. Later that day, Solange saunters back to her car. Following Asuncao's advice, Solange soon sees a psychoanalyst. There, she recalls when she was young and saw two sickly beggars making love, causing her to imagine the sores in their bodies fusing and devouring each other. The psychoanalyst asks if she loves her husband, but she merely answers that she dreams of the beggars every night since her marriage. He reminds her of the question and she still replies with a horrid memory. Only when he asks a third time does she answer that she loves Carlinhos a lot, but then goes back to the horrid memory. She even adds that neither beggar had teeth, and the woman was repeatedly shouting for the man to beat her senseless, acting like she's the one saying it. After some time, Carlinhos and Asuncao visit a bar with their respective partners while scantily clad women dance on the stage. Asuncao teases his friend not to get attracted to the dancers, so Carlinhos assures him that he belongs to his wife. Asuncao jokes that in psychoanalysis, the husband is always the jerk, but Solange also assures them that she loves her husband. In secret, however, she plays with Asuncao using her feet under the table. Carlinhos happens to pick up a napkin on the floor and witnesses the interaction. Later, Solange notices Carlinhos' sudden dip in mood and asks how he is. The man lies, saying he's happier than ever and takes her home. At home, he claims that he has to talk to his father, so Solange asks him for a kiss. He reluctantly gives her a peck, but she pulls him in for a deeper kiss and thanks him. Carlinhos then drives off to meet with Alexandre and immediately vents that he can handle being broke and starving over what he's feeling. Surprised, Alexandre asks what's wrong, soon learning that Carlinhos doesn't trust his wife anymore. The father reminds him that he, his wife, and Carlinhos had known Solange nearly all her life. He knows Solange like a daughter, so he asks proof on why his son distrusts her. Eager to express it, Carlinhos explains how he saw his wife and Asuncao's interaction. Alexandre argues that his son called Solange frigid, but Carlinhos now believes that his wife is only frigid with him and not other men. Alexandre scolds him not to think of Solange like that, but Carlinhos states that if what he suspects is true, he might end his wife's life. That night, as Solange sleeps, Carlinhos tries to relax beside her but can't. The morning after, Asuncao hesitantly paces in front of Carlinhos' house and decides to welcome himself in. Inside, Solange greets him with a smile, but he states that Carlinhos once called him for advice due to his marriage troubles, and now she's the one who called. Solange, however, says she didn't call for marriage troubles. Concerned, Asuncao comments that she scares him, so the woman wonders what she is to him. The man dismissively says she's only a friend. Undeterred, Solange asks him to turn around for a few moments, and when he turns back, he finds Solange barely dressed. He insists she's still only a friend, but the woman approaches amorously, kissing her husband's friend and more. Soon, the two find themselves in a motel bedroom, exhausted from their time together. Solange then decides to take a dip in the pool to relax before joining Asuncao in the bed. The man playfully admits his guilt of touching her, but she comments that she doesn't like him. Shocked, he asks why she would cheat with someone she doesn't like, only to hear that Solange did this to see if she was only frigid with her husband or just anyone. Knowing that it was just an experiment, Asuncao glumly asks what her findings were. Solange answers that he's nothing compared to Carlinhos. The man expresses how disgusted he is with her, but she calls him lucky for feeling something because she feels nothing towards him. On another day, Solange buys garments and heads to a park. She hides behind a large tree and changes her garment to the new one. She then heads to the streets to wait for a bus. In one of the buses, the conductor, Mosquito, complains about the heat while the driver, Bacalao, spots Solange waiting near the bus stop. He then stops nearby and opens the engine hood, pretending that something's wrong. He then calls Mosquito to help. Bacalao points Mosquito to Solange, then orders his companion to empty the bus of its passengers. Figuring out his plot, Mosquito announces that the bus has a problem and is heading to the garage, so all passengers have to find another bus. The passengers file out reluctantly before Bacalao drives to Solange to let her in. Seeing this, the passengers swarm to them, but they drive away from the angry mob. As they drive with the lady on board, Bacalao stops the vehicle somewhere and tells Mosquito to check if they have a flat tire. The man hesitates since Bacalao always messes with him, so the driver yells at him. Mosquito warily heads outside the bus only for Bacalao to peel off, leaving the poor man behind. Now alone with her, Bacalao takes Solange to the woods and into a small waterfall where they can enjoy each other. Later that afternoon, Solange returns home exhausted and sleeps beside her husband, still frigid towards him. One morning, Alexandre visits Solange to talk to her. The man expresses how he always wanted a daughter like Solange, but the woman believes it's not right to have her call him dad. Alexandre walks away from her, but she glides back to him, claiming that a friend told her how significantly more attractive Alexandre was to his son. The father dismisses her claims since he's an old man, so instead, Solange asks what a high-turnover hotel is. The senior explains that it's a hotel for couples who only stay for a moment, hence the name. Solange comments that Carlinhos never talks to her about those things, and Alexandre approves of it because it means he respects her. Solange argues that no woman wants that kind of respect, but asks Alexandre to take her to those hotels. Seeing his confusion, she reasons that this is why she can't call him dad, and points out how his eyes often wander towards her. Soon, Alexandre finds himself in a high-turnover hotel room with Solange, who humiliates him, shattering his already cracked pride. She then pushes him to the turning bed, but he keeps insisting that he's a good man who won't touch his son's wife. Solange berates and slaps him before turning to leave. However, Alexandre begs her to stay, calling her his goddess as she pushes him to the bed to dominate him. After some time, as Solange rides the bus, a gentleman sits next to her. During the ride, the woman's hand wanders to his lap. Later, the two head to the cemetery to enjoy each other, ignoring the funeral goers passing by. One night, Solange dreams of being stuck in a lot filled with retired buses, which excite her as she runs around. She begs to be beaten again and again, muttering it in her sleep. This wakes Carlinhos, who slaps the woman to wake her. The next morning, the couple sit in the living room and Carlinhos asks his wife if she'd seen Asuncao, and she claims she hasn't. He then heads to a study to get a gun and calls his wife. Solange recoils at the sight of the gun while her husband accuses her of being untrustworthy. She calls him drunk, but the man calls her promiscuous, so untrustworthy that she can't even say that she loves him. She denies this, but Carlinhos states that she will end Asuncao's life for touching her. She asks him not to because there were others, so he demands their names. With this, she reveals that some time ago, she left her car in the parking lot and boarded a bus. The only other passenger was a man named Vario, who recognized her and introduced himself as Carlinhos' former employee. He asked for help since he spent all his money on medicine for his son who passed away. She agreed to help and signaled the bus to stop. She then dragged the man to a grassy area by the road and asked him if she was pretty. He answered that the whole office thinks she was terrific. Pleased, she dared him to enjoy her body, even demanding him to slap her face. The man hesitated, but her insistence forced him to beat her as they rolled around in the grass. His request for help was forgotten in the heat of their exchange. Back in their home, Solange confesses that she had so many exchanges that she has forgotten most of their names. Racked in disbelief, Carlinhos mutters that he wants to shoot Asuncao but can't hunt everyone down. He notices that she's not even wearing inner garments anymore and curls in anguish. He considers himself dead to the world and slowly climbs the stairs to his room. That night, he lays in bed wearing a suit in the dark. Solange enters and lights candles, but the man reminds her that he considers himself dead. During this time, Solange recalls when she boarded a bus and once again blatantly flirted with another man named Malandro, taking him to a secluded shore to have a good time. Back in her husband's room, the woman prays on a rosary and places it on his hands, treating him as if he is truly gone. The next day, she goes out once again to find a bus and fulfill her needs. She recalls her conversation with a psychoanalyst where she claimed that she loved her husband but would make love to any man she met on a bus. She stated that he couldn't understand what was going through, that no matter how much she tried to hate herself and suffer, she couldn't. With that, she demanded the doctor to make her suffer. The psychoanalyst then commented that the one with a real problem was her husband, not her. However, she screamed, infuriated that even the psychoanalyst ignored that sin that she was committing.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.